Hey folks, time for another update. Now, there are two things that are very different about today's broadcast. First, see? Bad, really, you know? This is that whole no shave November thing. And compared to the epic beards out there, I kind of feel like some clone game trying to be wow, okay? This is bad, I know. I apologize. Maybe one or two more updates where I'm going to be wearing this kind of old guy peach fuzz. Eventually it will go away. Second thing that's new is you may notice that we are in our brand new conference room. And of course, this is actually the first time. We haven't even had a meeting in here. So let's take a quick tour. This should take over about 5 seconds. So over there is our window. Exciting, right? And there's one of our doors. And then, of course, the great sign made by one of our backers. And then for some other reason, we have two other doors in this room. I mean, and that one. It's crazy. So we've got this little conference room that actually has to have 3 doors. One of the doors was because of Fairfax County, or I should say beautiful downtown Fairfax County. Another door just leads to nowhere, which hopefully won't be ironic. And then of course the door that leads to the main studio. So from now on, most of the updates you're going to be seeing will take place here in this room. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, the main thing we're going to talk about are mages. Now, you folks remember, of course, it was only 2 weeks ago that we showed you some pretty advanced concepts for the seasonal armor of the various courts of the TDD. Well, today we're going to show you not as advanced concepts, but some very interesting concepts for the mage armor, most of it for the realm of the Arthurians. Like the TDD, Michelle and Sandra were tasked with thinking outside the box. Not just doing the pretty typical mage robes, guy in a long skirt, however you want to describe it. What I wanted to see from them was some of the same interesting concepts that eventually led to the court armor that you folks seem to have embraced beautifully, wonderfully. The feedback we've been getting from it has been terrific. And so this is the first step in the process of identifying what we hope will be armor for the mages that will be just as interesting, just as cool as the TDD armor. So what will the stylishly dressed mage be wearing on the field of combat in our game? Well, we have a lot of options. We know that there are some things that are very important to players, and we've tried to incorporate some of those elements into the designs you'll see today. Then there are some more interesting and different directions we're going as well. But let's start with some of the more obvious stuff, like hats. We know that a lot of you want kind of floppy wizard hats, so we have some concepts with them. We have some concepts with not so floppy wizard hats. We have concepts with hoods, also different kinds of hoods, also with neck cowls and some other interesting bits that will make the mage look different, obviously from the typical warrior or the archer. Of course, if you choose to look different. As I've said from the beginning, you do not have to wear armor of a specific class. It's a choice you'll make. There may be advantages to wearing it. Obviously, if you want to move quicker, you don't want to be wearing a lot of heavy armor. And if you're a mage, you certainly do not necessarily want to go around in iron armor. But the choice is yours. Besides hats, what else makes up your typical mage armor? Well, for now, cloaks, capes, all of that. We have a lot of different concepts of how to fit those into the game. And also, we had a kind of interesting idea during the discussions on this armor based on one of the cloaks that Sandra did that we will discuss a little bit later during this update. So we have hats, we have cloaks. Now we come to the main part of their armor. Now, certainly there would be nothing wrong if we went with standard wizard robes. Sometimes people say, yeah, it looks like a guy or a girl in a dress, but we wanted to be a little bit different from that. Again, nothing wrong with it, and who knows, if you, our backers, tell us, yeah, we kind of want the plain old robes, that's not a problem either. So I think it would be best now just to let Sandra and Michelle's work speak for itself in terms of, you know, the main part of their armor. So as you can tell from those concepts, there's a lot of interesting stuff there. But what's really important when you look at these concepts is see some of the things that you might have missed, you know, in a first look. So for example, if you look on the arms of some of these mages, you'll see sometimes they'll be bare, and sometimes they'll actually have scrolls that are, it looks like, tied to their bodies. So that's something we're going to work with. You know, which would be better? Should we have mages without any armor on their arms? Do they look cooler? Do they look more dangerous? Should we have the scrolls on their arms? If we put scrolls on their arms, should we activate those scrolls? So there's a lot of very interesting concepts floating around for mage armor. Besides that, if you look very carefully, you'll see a lot of accessorizing. Okay, yeah, that's kind of a fashion thing, but it also helps sell the character. It helps sell the IP. So you as a mage will be carrying scrolls, you know, on your body. You may carry potions. I know, we won't go crazy with the pots, guys. You know, potions on your body. There'll be other accoutrements that you will also have attached. And as you can see from the concepts, there's plenty of room for it. And of course, just as we talked about during the Kickstarter and beyond, we will have a dyeing system in the game. So here are some examples of taking the basic white mage armor and dyeing it. So besides dyeing, we're also in the process of laying out a very simple system for further, you know, customization by the player. And here's an example of it. So besides the Arthurians, we actually have a bonus Viking concept. Here it is. As you can see, it's quite different from the Arthurian armor. We intend to do that, just as we did with the TDD court armor. We know that you guys don't want to look alike. You can't look alike, you shouldn't look alike. So after seeing the armor, I know you guys are going to have a lot of questions in terms of what will a mage look like when they're casting magic. Well, we're not willing to pin anything down right now, and certainly for those of you who are in our outfit test, you've seen some early concepts. Well, here's another concept I want to show you. This was something that we've been thinking about and talking about, and, well, Sandra came up with a slight variation on it. I think it's worth discussing. The Mage review yesterday went very well, obviously. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. But there was something that happened during it that was quite interesting. There was a concept from Sandra which shows what looks like bits of a clock inside the cloak of a female mage. And that got me to thinking, wouldn't it be cool if we could have a mage that deals with time, with probability, with other things? Now, this isn't a totally new concept, of course, and this is not something that's even definite yet. But, you know, this is something you might want to think about. After all, you know, we said we're going to have other classes down the road. And I think a mage based on that could be quite interesting. We'll start a discussion, of course, on the forums, probably under the something to think about. Let us know what you think. I think it's kind of cool, but please, let us know. Well, besides all that, I just got a package today. Actually, two packages. Well, one about this size and then one about that size from our friends at NVIDIA. So, as always, NVIDIA, thank you so much for your help and your support. We're thrilled to get these boards. They'll be a great help to the studio, and you've been a great partner, and we hope to continue doing well, great things with PhysX and soon other bits of your tech. So again, NVIDIA, thanks very much. So besides the blur you've seen from Artland, programming is also moving along quite well. We've begun our initial testing of our next phase of our network code, and as you folks know, those who are in alpha or IT or even have seen our updates, our engine has been doing great stuff. We've had about 200 people in a very small space, and the game has run beautifully. We are now looking to take that to the next level. We've talked about this a little bit in the updates, certainly in IT, that Andrew and the team have been working on the next rev of our network code. And if everything goes well, we're going to take that number up significantly from 200. Well, that's it. And as always, on behalf of everyone here at CSE and myself, we thank you very much for your donations and support.